Tom, you're maybe a theist, or
Yeah,
am I reading this incorrectly?
I I'm sort of agnostic as to whether a god exists or not, but I'm pretty sure that any monotheistic god doesn't exist. I think there are paganisms which could be correct, but they're not. But I haven't figured out which one yet. Let's put it that way. So, like for monotheism, like the problem of evil, divine hiddenness, those sorts of things, basically make that very clear that it is wrong because you have a god. But paganism sort of doesn't have that problem. Like, why is there evil? Because the gods disagree. And actually, there seems to be like I have found a little bit of evidence, like to the point where I am almost, or like if I can, so like if there's a god which is basically the same between pre-Columbian America and what's it and like Eurasia before 1492, that's pretty good evidence that that god is real, right?
Is
Can
it?
you repeat it? So you're asking if God showed up
If
in
a
pre-Columbian America?
if a
If a God,
god
okay,
if a god like is if there are two very similar gods in pre-Columbian America and in
right.
Eurasia, that
Oh, I see. Right.
that's probably because that god exists and also inspired multiple religions. Like if because like you can't it can't be cultural diffusion then because there wasn't any contact except for like the Vikings, which was far away from the areas we actually have written records and stuff for.
I think that to to be convincing evidence for me, it would have to be very specific, and I would have to be able to verify that they didn't use each other as a source. And if I could verify those two things, I would look a lot closer. Um,
Okay, because
but I don't think that it's like, I mean, I don't think it's good enough evidence on its own. I mean, there are flood stories from
yeah,
all around the world, and some of them
yeah,
share qualities with each other, but
yeah,
it's not evidence of anything other than like there
yeah,
were floods in certain areas, right?
yeah, yeah. But there is like the closest I've gotten is with like Perkunos and Tlaloc or Cha'ak in Tlaloc or Cha'ak in Mesoamerica, and like Perkunos, which is basically the ancestral form of Indra, Thor, and Perun in Eurasia, because you have like sort of a storm god with like an axe, or in the case of Thor, it's a hammer. In the case of Indra, it's a mace, I believe. It's the same weapon for those though.
Those
And
are two very different weapons though, right? A mace and a hammer, and of course a god that
yeah,
is known for battle or whatever, which a lot of specific gods are, is going to have a weapon of some sort that they use. So
yeah, yes, yes. But Cha'ak also like has an axe, which is what Perun has, and we know that, and like just from like the cognates, you like there's evidence that like just in terms of dissemination, Thor's hammer, Perun's axe, and Indra's mace, I think were like the same original weapon called, I believe that was called Meldon, and it and the fact that the axe version is also found in Mesoamerica, that like I I personally don't think there's enough to quite confirm it because one of the things about Perkunos is red hair, and I cannot find iconography of Chalk or Tlaloc where the hair is visible, but
I think
think
that
it might
to be convincing to me, I I would have to be able to rule out the possibility that some even one sailor, one boat, or one whatever did not like find their way to these areas first. But even as you've described it, it is not convincing to me at all. They all
yeah.
have their own stories and everything. That would be a prerequisite to accepting it, though. Ruling that out.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Wouldn't it
I
also be
haven't.
cooler if instead of like, I kind of accept that around the world people were kind of coming up with axes and hammers, around the
Yeah.
same time, and we kind of largely came to the same thing. Wouldn't it be cooler if they had some weapon that like no humans were using at all, right? Like they had plasma rifles. That'd be
Yeah.
that'd be more compelling, right? Because, oh well, how did someone in China and someone in the Aztec community come up with plasma rifles for their gods?
Yeah. Like, I mean, I know that the Slavs, I believe, gave Turin like apples, which are can work as bombs, I think. But that's kind of it. Like, this is just sort of something I noticed a while ago, and yeah.
Yeah, I
Tom,
think I
what's
would
the
want to go ahead, Paul.
all I was going to ask is, Tom, what's the best reason that Owen and I should buy into this?
Because there's not as much. Well, I mean, there's not as much evidence against it, like as much contradictory stuff as there is with like monotheism. So like relative to monotheism, it's more like because
Okay, so you're the least problematic story that I don't believe. Is that where we're going?
sort of,
I'm gonna
yeah.
need like a lot more for it. I'm gonna need a lot more. I'm gonna need affirmative evidence for it. The what you gave us would at best be like circumstantial, just kind of hinting at the possibility that maybe I would need some kind of affirmative evidence before I accepted any of that.
I do have one question for you. Has
Okay.
any other caller given you any sort of affirmative evidence?
Can any other caller give us affirmative evidence?
Has any other caller given you affirmative evidence for any of the stuff they've noticed?
Nobody has given me affirmative evidence. No, I mean nobody has given me like hard evidence. Like they came with uh, DNA from Jesus that we can test or something, or it doesn't even have to be that extreme. Like they haven't given me anything that could even potentially a little bit maybe be convincing. It's all just based on feelings. I think this is true. I feel like this is true. And
Okay.
as with Stevie last time, when that, or maybe it wasn't Stevie. I apologize if it wasn't Stevie, as one of the other callers did somewhere along the line, when I feel like it's true doesn't work anymore, they back into you're going to hell if you don't believe in it. I just fear tactics don't really work with
Yeah.
me, and I think it's kind of messed up. So yeah, I mean, no, I haven't gotten any affirmative evidence from anybody yet. Still waiting.
Well, yeah, that's it then.
Okay, well, yeah, I appreciate the phone call. Do you have something else to add, Paul?
I was just going to say, I'm at this point, I'm comfortable in my materialism, at least at my methodological naturalism. I'm comfortable with that, so I'm not looking for, other versions of. I'm not on a hunt for the least problematic version of theism because I just don't think it has predictive power. So,
Yeah,
All right,
absolutely.
fair enough.
all right. Well, thank you,
Thank you for the
Tom.
call.
But if you do come across some hard evidence, please do give us a call.
Okay. All right.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Bye. A nice person, but we can all be in the what if. Well, what if we're in a matrix, or what if we're in a simulation, or what if, there's a lot of fun thought experiments that it's fun to have, but that's not specifically the point of our show necessarily. So
Yep.